Hi everyone, I'm Curt Frye, and in this movie, I would like to continue my examination of the Traveling Salesman Problem by looking at what happens when you have asymmetric travel times between two locations. If you'd like to follow along, you can download my sample file from the link that I provide in the video description below. So far, every example I've looked at has had the same travel time to and from a couple of destinations. In this case, going between station 2 and station 1 would take 21 miles or 21 minutes, whatever you're doing. And if you start at station 1, and that's what the row indicator means, and go to station 2, it's the same travel time. But let's see what happens if we make that asymmetric. And I'm using a smaller grid so it's easier to follow along with the example. The solution that I have for the current setup goes from 4 to 3 to 6 to, 4 to 3 to 6, then 2, then 7 and 8, and then 5 and 1, and back to 4 in that order. And note in the solution that we go from 7 to 8. So 7 to 8, so we're going in this direction. Let's see what happens when we change the travel time in one direction only. So we're going from 7 to 8. And we look at the row first, so I will go to row 7 and change the travel time to station 8, which is in the column, from 3 to an extremely large value. So that's 1,000. And my goal in making that drastic of a change is to indicate that that particular path is not available. We can still go the other way, but we can't go from 7 to 8 as we have in our current solution. I already have the solver model set up, so I'll go to the Data tab, click Solver, and then click Solve, and I'll come back when the solution has arrived. Okay, we have our new solution, and previously we went from 7 to 8, but in this case we have exactly the same total, but we go from 8 to 7. And if I look at the previous solution, I see that it is in reverse order, except we're starting at 5 instead of starting at 4. So previously, we went from 4 to 3 to 6 to 2, then to 7 to 8. In this case, we are reversing the circle and going from 5 to 8 to 7, then to 2. So if I scroll down, instead of tracing the circle this way from 5 to 1 and up around, we are in this case going from 5 to 8. Is that correct? Yes, from 5 to 8, 5 to 8, and moving around the circle this way. So with these assumptions, the only change that we make is the direction that we go. But now let's see what happens if we change the path in both directions. In other words, we don't have any way at all to get between 7 and 8. And to do that, I will change the cost of going from 8 to 7, the other direction, to 1,000 as well. So we have 1,000 going from 7 to 8 and 1,000 going from 8 to 7. And what that means is that it should be impossible, or at least very unlikely, that the model will include either of those paths in the solution. So I will go back up to Solver and run the model by clicking Solve, and I'll be back when we have a solution. Okay, Solver has found a solution, and looking to the left in the total column, I see that where previously we had a solution of 125, we now have the solution of 130, and that tells me that things are probably different. So I'll click OK, and I'll look down at the route map, and everything appears to be the same except for this little corner here. Because we can't go from 7 to 8 in either direction, in fact, what's happening is that we are going from 8 to 5 and then to 7. So instead of going between 7 and 8, which are actually the closest two stations, then we have to divert to 5 between them and add a little bit of extra time. But because of the example that I selected, we only have a higher cost of 5 miles, which is the way that I laid out the distance matrix. If we had something like 3 that was cut off from 6, or 3 that was cut off from 6 and 4, then that would lead to a much longer path. And I encourage you to make a backup copy of the sample file and change some of the weights or some of the distances that will affect the solution and see what you can come up with. As for now, I am done with my changes, so I will click cell M7, and then I will drag, using the fill handle, the formula down from M7 to M8, and then I will do the same thing for K9 over to L9. And I am back to my original workbook and the original distance matrix. I assume the road has been repaired, and I can continue on with my work. I hope you enjoyed this look into the traveling salesman problem and asymmetric travel times. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to my channel.